I am M. Gopiana, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Applications, PSNA College of Engineering and Technology. Well, now I am just going to handle a topic called as web service, one of the important topic that is going in and around the world. So now we people, when we are depending on this online shopping, it is show that this web service plays an important role in online shopping. So every person's in the day-to-day life, we can just tell this web service for example of this online shopping. But apart from online shopping, there are many things that is available there. So that helps to just integrate the units. So web service, how it helps or serves the IT era. So a small chunk of task is being made as a web service and that can be shared in and around the world. So when a web service is being created, that can be acquired as a service by many people throughout the people. So that is the job of a web service. So that we just name it as a web service, a service that is provided to the corresponding webs. That's why it is totally called as a web service. Here one of the important point that we have to keep in mind is, so around the world when we are talking about a service, each and every system that have different types of hardware and software environment, that is computing environment. So when a particular web service has been created, this service can be used throughout the different environment of this IT era. So what is a service? A service is nothing but an autonomous unit. So what I mean by an autonomous unit? An autonomous unit is nothing but which is not integrated with any other thing. It runs by its own and itself separately. So this autonomous unit is being taken to some other as a service, and that task has been over, it can be given back. So that is called as an autonomous unit. So here a service is autonomous unit of automated business logic accessible to other systems. So it is meant only for automated business logic. So when this particular business logic is being dealt with this as a service, they can acquire as a service. So you can just ask me, so why it is a need for having a service to the third party, rather why can't we make it of ourselves? The thing is, we no need to just concentrate on such type of task. So that is readily available in the market. For example, a famous MNC company is been lending its attendance maintenance of that corresponding company's employee to a third party. So they don't keep this in a mind and they don't have to work hard or else put a schedule for this particular task. They give this as a third party service and they can just acquire it. So that is called as a service. So this service not only in this IT era, it has been in and around throughout the world. So not only this IT era, it can be available in many domains. For example, geographical informations, news informations, medical informations, educational informations, research informations, administrative informations, government informations, business information. Likewise, this service is being disseminated throughout the world. But here, when you are taking this service to a web, that is for an IT era, so it is called as a web service. So a small chunk of a task is being performed as a service. So what is a web service? An application that can publish its function or message to the rest of the world through the internet. So publish its function in the sense, for example, a company named as X creates a particular service. It provides that service. The companies throughout the world can just contact this particular X company and they can acquire the service of this corresponding X. So this particular function that has been generated by this company X is being made as a third party service. So what it uses? It uses HTTP and XML. So what is the use of this HTTP and XML? These two important components that plays a major role for this particular web service. As I already told you that whatever the computing environment it may be, you can just go and use this particular website. It is only because of the help of this particular HTTP and XML. So what is the use of this HTTP and XML and how it helps to work in a different computing environment? This is a transportation protocol. A HTTP is a transportation protocol and XML is a open data standard. It is an open standard for making the data as a common data that can be accessible throughout the world for the different computing environments, and XML for coding and decoding. So the data is being converted into an XML format and it can be decoded and they can just acquire it. when the data is been converted as an XML format, normally it is made as a common data. So it can traverse or else it can be transited throughout any kind of network, any computing environment, any kind of layers of the corresponding OSI layers. So this XML can travel without any decisions. So for transportation, we just use a transportation protocol called as SOAP. I have already told that this HTTP also has a transportation protocol, and SOAP also is used for transportation protocol. So what is the relation between this HTTP and the SOAP? Normally SOAP is an accessing protocol, that is a common standard protocol that sits on HTTP and traverse. This HTTP is used for traversing via the network, and the SOAP is an open standard protocol that has been packed as a message. So what are web services? Web services are application components. They are made in case of a components, a small components. We cannot just tell that as a particular software. We cannot tell that particular thing as a complete package. So there is a difference between a component and a package. A package is a complete task. A component is a small task. So a web service normally can be a small task. I will be just giving you a real-time example. What is a small component which performs a small task? Web service communicate using open protocols. Already seen in the last slide, the SOAP is used for transportation protocol. So that SOAP is a open standard protocol. So that open standard protocol is used for communication. So when we are talking the word as communication, it uses HTTP for communication. It is a communication transportation protocol which is a open standard, nothing but your simple object access protocol, SOAP. So web services are self-contained and self-describing. So rather than autonomous unit, we can just tell the exact term for this web service is nothing but your self-contained and self-describing. What do you mean by self-contained? Everything is within itself. That is called as self-contained. Then what do you mean by self-describing? It describes about itself. So what is the need for self-containing and self-describing? If a third party, this is a third party service, no. So when a third party comes and accesses this, they can just read its description details, that is its self-description, and knows about itself. So that's why it is called as self-describing. When it is being dealt as self-describing, it tells about. For example, when we just go for an interview, we ask the students to tell about yourself. So he have to describe about himself. So when he is telling that, we can just know who is the student and what is he. So likewise, it is called as the self-describing. Self-contained in the sense everything, that is the task that has been allocated for this particular web service is available within it. So only it is called as self-contained and self-describing. Then web services can be used by other applications. So it is a third party service. So third party service in the sense other applications use the small task for their complete package. So it is interoperable. So as it is interoperable, it can be used in any kind of computing environments. So interoperability is being made using this particular web service. So only it can just go for any kind of computing environments. I can just give a best example for this particular web service, that is nothing but a PayPal. So PayPal is one of the third party service providing company which provides a small component as a service. So now I am just giving you the explanation for the first statement, that is application components. So this PayPal is an application components. What for it is an application component and what is the service it's been used? PayPal is a authentication service. So what do you mean by authentication service? To ensure whether the given credentials or else the user is an authenticated user. So who are all the clients of this PayPal company? Your Visa, MasterCard, American Express. So this PayPal is a web service providing company which provides credit card authentication. So it provides this particular task in online shopping, online banking and online transactions. So when we are giving our card details or else when we are giving our credentials, this particular company takes charge of authentication those credentials, either a credit card and its password or else credentials of a particular net banking. So this is one of the major best example that we can just tell as a web service. So who is the backbone of this web service? So when we are talking about the backbone of this web service, nothing but we can just tell it as XML. XML is said to be called as one of the major backbone of this particular XML. So what is XML? So XML is nothing but extensible markup language. XML is nothing but extensible markup language. So it is nothing. XML is nothing but everything. So what this statement tells, it is nothing but everything. So the thing is, so it is the thing that makes an interoperable environment. That is, the data is being converted into a XML standard, and XML is a open standard, and XML is a open standard. When it is being told as a open standard, it can travel through any different computing environments. So XML plays a major backbone of this web era, normally for this particular web service. We will be talking more about that. So this diagram just simply tells you what is an XML. XML just carries data. XML is nothing but data representation and not presentation. XML is totally different from HTML. HTML is meant only for presenting, how to present the data. But XML is not so. It simply carries and simply represents the data. That's all. So other one important difference between HTML and XML is HTML tells how the data should look. XML tells what the data is. So XML is also called as a metadata. XML is also called as a metadata. Metadata is nothing but data about data. So next we will be just seeing the major components of the web service. So what are the major components? So components is nothing but for handling a web service, what are the things that is dealt. For acquiring a service of a web service, what all the things is being used. So first one is an open standard protocol, that is nothing but your SOAP protocol, simple object access protocol. So that is a format for sending messages. So the message is being converted or else packed in the form of a SOAP message. The next one is, it is platform and language independent. So only it is called as an interoperable protocol. It is platform and language independence. Any one environment which creates platform and language independent, then that environment is said to be called as an interoperable environment. It uses XML as the standard. I have already told you what is XML and what is the use of that corresponding standard. The next one, WSDL. So what is WSDL? WSDL is nothing but web service description language. So what do you mean by web service description language? This is one format of a document. This is one format of a document. This document tells what the web service is. The web service has been described in this particular document. So that's what it has been called as web service description language. So what is there to describe about a web service? So the thing is, what type of web service it is, who is the service provider, how to acquire the service, so what are all the specifications needed for this service. This type of description is being available in this particular WSDL as a document. So that's what, when you are just telling about the introduction about web services, I have told you a web services is self-contained and self-describing. So this is what we just tell about a self-describing, that is web service description language. It describes web services, it helps to locate the web service. I have already told you that who is the service provider, how to acquire that service, that is what called as locating the web service. So these things we will be just seeing detail in the forthcoming slides. The last one is UDDI. UDDI is nothing but Universal Description, Discovery and Integration. So this UDDI is also called as a public repository or else a public registry. So when you are telling this as a registry or a repository, it is a place to store something. A registry or a repository is the place to store something. So public repository, in the sense, it is stored in a common place where all the public can go and access this particular data. So what is the use of this UDDI? It is the major part of this particular web service. So what are all web services we are creating, its corresponding information will be stored in this UDDI only. The service requesters who are in need of the service will go to this UDDI registry, they will search the information about this corresponding web services at the UDDI. That's why it is called as a public registry, where the public can go and search the web services. So directory services where businesses can register and search for web services. The next one, directory for storing information about web services. It is the, in a single word if we want to just tell, it is the place for storing the web services. The next one, component of service oriented architecture. So what is the relation with this SOA and the web service? So SOA is a general term that tells about web services. Here we will be just telling this as a components, service oriented architecture. So the service oriented is related to a web service. So what are the three components? Service provider, service registry and service requester. So what is the difference between these three components? So one who provides the service, one who provides a web service, they are called as service providers. A registry, it is a common place where the service information is being registered, where the people can come and search the information at that particular location. Then the third one, service requester, one who is in need of a service, they are called as service requester. So these are all the three components. This architecture diagram we will be just seeing in the next slide. Service provider, service registry and service requester. So here these are all the three components of service oriented architecture. So let me start from service provider, then followed by service registry, then finally with the service requester and the service provider again. So first, so who is a service provider? One who provides a web service, one who provides a particular task as a service. They are called as a service provider. So what they do? First, they create a service. And they describe about that service and they describe about that particular service. What they do? After creating this, they will be just collecting the service description informations and they will just publish in the service registry. So the operation between service provider and the service registry is nothing but a publishing operation. So here a WASDL document is being generated as called as service description, and this WASDL document will be registered in a service registry. So at the place called as UDDI. UDDI means Universal Description, Discovery and Integration. So it is the place of all these three things. So now this service provider has the service by itself. It publishes the service description information at this location. Service is created first, service description information is being created and it is being published. Now the service description information would be available in the service registry. So when this particular service description information is available at this place, this is the place of UDDI, Universal Description, Discovery and Integration. So this is the place of these three tasks: description, discovery and integration. So what is this description, discovery and integration? So all the service descriptions are registered here. So that what the first word called as description. Then next, second one, discovery. So the third parties discovers the service information at this particular location. So that is what has been called as discovery. Then the last one, I, for integration. After acquiring the service description information, it integrates the requester and the provider. So that is what for integration. So that's why it is the place of UDDI. It is a registry or a public repository. So when that information is been made here, that is published here, so it is a common place where the third parties can come and acquire the information. So next one, next we just go for the job of the service requester. Who are all called as the service requesters? One who are in need of services. They will just go to the service registry, they will search what are all the web services available. There are many criterias, there are many categories of services that is listed in the service registry. This list can be searched by the service requesters. So this function is called as find. So first one is publish between a provider and a registry. Second one is
between the service requester and the registry, it is nothing but find. Here also it needs a WSDL and UDDI. So here the service requester acquires the description information by selecting or else discovering the web service from the service registry. It downloads the information from that and it just goes to the service provider. Now the function between the service requester and the provider is nothing but a bind operation. So what is a bind operation? Integration between the requester and the provider. So that is called as a bind operation. When a bind operation is being made, the service requester normally acquires the service of the service provider. So this is what the architecture of a service oriented architecture, where the web services place between the provider and the requester. So next one, the components of web services, UDDI. We have to know about these things detailedly because this will tell us how a web service has been handled and how this web service has been acquired as a service to the third parties. Universal, description, discovery and integration. As initially I have been telling you, description describes the web service information, that is self description of a web service. We can next go for discovery. Discovery is the service requester going and discovering the information, finding what are all the web services available, how it is available, how to connect to that. All these informations are categorized as discovery. Then finally it is integration, integrating between the service provider and the requester, integrating between the service provider and the requester. The next point, platform independent framework for describing services, discovering businesses and integrating businesses. It is a platform independent framework. For example, service provider may be created, that particular application may be created with one environment. The service requester may be created of some other environment. This UDDI may be created of a third environment. So when these three different environment is coming together, so that should be an independent environment. So that should not be a dependent, platform dependent or hardware dependent. So that should be a platform dependent framework which describe where services are described, where businesses are described and where business are integrated. Then third one, it is used with the help of internet. It has been used with the help of internet. Then using WSDL to describe interfaces to web service. This UDDI uses WSDL to describe interfaces to web services. Then provides information on how to find and how to invoke web services. It describes how to find a web service and how to invoke a web services. For example, there is a categorization of credit card authentication. There may be many company providing the credit card authentication services, among which we are just going and choosing any one credit card authentication service providing company, and after that is called as finding. So the thing is, the criteria should match with what is being expected for the service requester company. And finally, the web services, how to invoke that web services of the service provider company. Then last one, it relies on GUID, G-U-I-D, globally unique identifier. So what is being meant by globally unique identifier? Is nothing but an unique ID for all the service registration. Any service providers registers their service information. So each and every registry there would be an unique ID. So how the level of information is been categorized? They will be categorized in the form of pages as white pages, yellow pages and green pages. These are all the different pages consist of different types of informations. So this is how the informations are categorized in a UDDI server. First one, let us take white pages. So a list of company information. What are all the companies? Their company informations. The next one, queried by how it has been queried. The list of company informations. It is queried by name, text description, contact informations and known identifiers. Known identifiers any identifiers for a particular company rather than the company name. So first white pages is nothing but list of company informations. Then second one is yellow pages. So what is yellow pages? It is one type of informations which we call it as which is available at a yellow page. So what kind of services is offered? What kind of services is offered? For example, an credit card authentication, and use information. Okay, so these are all called as a kind of informations. So how we used to query these informations? Industry codes, locations, products and service. So based on this we used to query the kind of services offered. Then third page is green page. Green page tells you how to interact with the service, how to interact and acquire the corresponding service. Exposes service descriptions and binding informations. That is what. For interacting it is description information, for acquiring it is binding informations. These are the three level of informations that is available in a UDDI server. For white page it is list of companies, for yellow page is nothing but kind of services offered, for green page is nothing but how to invoke and acquire the service. These are all the levels of informations that is registered and available in a UDDI public registry or UDDI server. So core type of informations that is available. So this has been classified as a core type of informations, nothing but business information, service information, binding information, specification for services. So these are all the core types. This has been categorized. Business informations, it's business entity elements, nothing but the yellow page informations. Then service informations, it is service elements, nothing but green page informations. Binding information is also green page. It creates a template of the binding informations. Then last one, specification for the services. Certain specifications are needed to get integrated with one component with the other component. That we call it as T model elements. T model is nothing but technical model elements. The next one, so, till now we have seen UDDI, an important component. Next we are just going to see it is WSDL. We used to pronounce this WSDL as WSDL. So WSDL is one of the component of the service oriented architecture. So this is a document format, as the icon just denotes. WSDL is a document format. So this document consists of web service descriptions. So it consists of descriptive information about a particular web service. So it is in an XML document format. As I have already told, it is a document and it is in a XML document format. It is a contract between the client and the server. A WSDL information is nothing but a contract between the client and the server. Describes what the web service can do. This particular document describes what the web service can do, where it can be found and how it can be invoked. So this is the common term that tells the complete thing of a WSDL. So first one is what a web service can do, that is what kind of services has been offered in that web service, that is available in our yellow page informations. So that one. The next one, where it can be found. So who is the service provider? So that information is being denoted as where it can be found. And finally, how to invoke it. How to invoke it in the sense a bind is being created and it is the service has been acquired as a service and how it is being made. So this is the information about a WSDL. So next we will be just going for a technical information about WSDL. So these are all the common elements that is available in a WSDL document. So first one is a definition, associates web service with a namespace. Namespace is nothing but creating uniqueness of each and every entity in a XML. The next one, port type, the operations performed by web service. What type port? The next one, message, the message used by, what type of message has been used by the web service. The next one, types, what type of data types is being used in the web service. The next one, binding, the binding is nothing but a connection between the provider and the requester. So what are all the communication protocols are used? What are all the common protocols that is being generated or else prepared for creating a connection? Then operation, an abstract description of action that web service support. It is an abstract description. So far we have seen the two components, that is UDDI and WSDL. So next we are just going to see about a SOAP protocol. A SOAP is an interoperable protocol, simple object access protocol. So this particular interoperable protocol plays a major role in our web services, which goes through around the world with different computing environment, that is platform independent and hardware independent, termed as interoperable environment. So it is an XML based protocol and a messaging framework. It is an XML based protocol and messaging framework. WSDL is also a format of XML document. This SOAP is also an XML based protocol. The next one is, it is a messaging framework. So it will be just used as a communication protocol. It will be made as a message format. So this SOAP message will be transferred from the client to the server or else between the transitions. The next one, an encoding format protocol for accessing a web service. So what do you mean by encoding format? It can be coded and encoded. So it can be made as a secured environment while it is in a transit. The next one, an RPC mechanism, a platform independent and language independent. A mechanism called as RPC mechanism is being used. So what is RPC mechanism? It's nothing but remote procedure call. So wherever the server is available, we can just remotely we can access the resource. So that is what called as RPC, remote procedure mechanism. So it is platform independent and also it is a language independent. So only this particular SOAP is called as a interoperable environment. So this is the building block or else a message format of a SOAP. So this is how a message of a SOAP would be available. So this yellow color denotes the outer cover of the message. Yellow color denotes the outer cover of the message, which is called as an envelope. Normally, when we are just sending a postal cover, the letters or all the contents would be made available inside the postal cover. So that is called as envelope, which contains everything. So that's what it has been called as an envelope. An yellow color environment covers the complete components of this corresponding SOAP environment. The next one, we have two parts. We have two parts inside this SOAP envelope. First one is a SOAP header. Second one is a SOAP body. So this green color is denoted as SOAP header. This pink color is denoted as SOAP body. These are all the two components. So first let me see the SOAP header. So what is the use of this SOAP header block? It just consists of the header informations, the specification information, who is the sender, who is the receiver, what type of transportation protocol is used, what is its version, what type of message is available here, what is the data format, how much data is been contained in this message, that is the size of the message, who is the recipient, how it is going to receive. All these informations about technical informations and meta informations are available in this SOAP header block. So here the header would be in the form of many blocks, not only one header. We can have n number of blocks that is available here. So only it is called as a header block. So this header informations can be categorized of many things, that is a block format. Then we just go for the second part of the SOAP message, that is SOAP body. So SOAP body is a part where the original data is being packed inside, that is called as a message body. So this is the structure of a SOAP message format. First one is outer cover is envelope. Inside the envelope we have two components. One is SOAP header, then second one is SOAP body. SOAP header you can have n number of blocks, that is header information can be available in many blocks. So it is not mandatory, it is optional. we can just have only one information or else one block. Now no need to go for many blocks. If it is a need, we can just go for it. The next one, message board. So this is the complete data that is packed inside this SOAP body. So this is the structure of the interoperable communication protocol called as Simple Object Access Protocol, which plays a major role in our web service, which has been communicating between the service provider and the registry, service requester and the registry, service requester and the service provider. So next one. So in the last slide we have seen the message format of this corresponding SOAP message. So now here we will be just seeing the syntax of this corresponding SOAP message, how the syntax has been available. So already I have told that this particular SOAP message is in the standard of an XML. All XML syntax, XML rules, XML standards and everything that has been defined for XML is being used here for this SOAP. So that's why the first element is also denoting you as an XML document and its version as 1.0. Then second one, so this is called a namespace, SOAP colon envelope. So this is called, this element is called as an envelope element. This element is called as an envelope element. So as in the message format we have told, the envelope is the complete part of the corresponding thing where everything is been packed inside. So in XML the SOAP is being made as namespace. It denotes what it is. This envelope is for a SOAP message. The next one, an UID. And UID, that is URI, unique resource identifier, is been given for XMLNS. XMLNS means XML namespace for SOAP. It is available at www.w3.org on 2001 SOAP envelope. And encoding style, next one, encoding style is available at www.w3.org at 2001, same for SOAP encoding. So these two things, that is namespace and encoding style, are available at the corresponding URI where the SOAP is being generated. The next one, for header it is SOAP header. So how many headers you can have? You can have that much number of open and close tag. So it is so that no nested looping is allowed inside this corresponding document, because XML does not allow nested tags as it is not satisfying the well formedness. So next one we have body part. So inside this body part we can have all the informations, that is message informations, data information related to a SOAP message. So we have a identifier called as fault. SOAP fault is an important component that is available in a SOAP message, which tells about any errors or which tells about any inconveniences, and SOAP fault plays a major role in this SOAP environment. And we are closing that SOAP fault tag, then we are closing that SOAP body, and finally we are closing that SOAP envelope. So this is the common syntax. This is the common syntax of a SOAP message. So that's all about this particular web service. Thank you.